My first question was going to be about defunding police, but you have addressed that already, but I think I would disagree with you whether or not you have advocated defunding police, so I'll go on to my second question. Now, you might think it's unfair to bring up something that you organized in law school, but yesterday there was a congresswoman who said things along the same line. At a conference that featured a number of speakers that called violent radicals, including numerous cop killers, political prisoners, and POWs. So I got the name of 3 cop killers, 2 in prison, 1 fleeing to Cuba: Asada Shakur, Tom Manning, Mumia Abu Jamal. My question to you is, do you consider them political prisoners?
No, I am not familiar with their cases. I've never worked on those matters. The conference that you're referring to, Senator, was organized by the late Dr. Manning Marable, who was the director of the Institute for Research in African American Studies. I was not the organizer of that conference, but I provided logistical support as a student at that time.
You have said, quote, "It's time to restore both race and gender diversity to our federal courts." Yet, Democrats in the Senate consistently voted against President Trump's female and minority nominees, especially at the circuit court level. You also didn't support many of these nominees. So my question, pretty simple. When Democrats opposed minority or female nominees who were rated qualified by the ABA, were they being racist and sexist?
Thank you, Senator. Over the 4 years of President Trump's tenure, my organization only took positions on about 5 judicial nominees, 3 of them Supreme Court justices. I believe that race and gender diversity on our nation's court is an important priority and goal that we should work towards.
So is it possible in the same vein, then, for Republicans to oppose President Biden's nominees on ideological grounds without being racist or sexist?
I believe that this body has an incredibly important advise and consent role under the Constitution to vet nominees. We want nominees who are qualified, but we also want to work to ensure that the bench reflects the growing diversity of our country. People with disabilities, women, people of color, are all people who we should see reflected on our nation's federal courts.
Can I ask you to be specific, though? If Democrats can oppose it and not be racist or sexist, shouldn't you have the same standard for Republicans?
I do not view this work through a partisan lens, Senator. In looking at judicial nominees, I look at qualifications. I've spoken about the need for diversity, but I don't view these issues at all through a partisan lens, Senator.
In 2017, you tweeted an article by Judge William Pryor, who at that time was opposing a proposed court expansion plan. You said, quote, "The Senate should heed his call," end quote, and not expand the courts. Do you still oppose expanding the number of judges? If not, why not?
I understand that President Biden has convened a commission to look closely at these questions. I think that these are important questions that we should examine and look forward to seeing the results of that commission's work.
I believe, though, that the conversations you had indirectly with Pryor did not deal with the number of Supreme Court judges or packing the court, but with lower court judges. So at that time, you seemed to say that we should not be expanding the number of lower court judges, and do you still hold that position?
Senator, I'd welcome more context. I'm not recalling the context in which that statement was made, but I do understand that President Biden has convened a commission to look very broadly at the status of the federal judiciary, and I look forward to seeing the results of that commission's work.
I got 9 seconds for my last question. During Bill Barr's confirmation hearing, you tweeted that Barr, quote, must acknowledge that his work to promote mass incarceration destroyed communities and harmed people of color, end of quote. So, you know, Joe Biden promoted the crime bill. So the person who nominated you to this position, did he destroy communities and harm people of color by authorizing and authoring and pushing the crime bill?
Well, the war on drugs, I think universally everyone agrees, led to the mass incarceration of people of color. And I think that broadly we've seen many people abandon those policies of the past. And I know that this body, the Senate, has engaged in robust thinking around more progressive criminal justice reform, including you, Senator Grassley. So I just want to acknowledge that some of the thinking of the past, I think, has been abandoned and is putting us on a more progressive path when it comes to race and incarceration in our country.
Thank you very much.